Welcome to the 10th unit of English Now. I hope you're hungry for knowledge because our menu today is very interesting. Relative clauses and pronouns and how to use them correctly. Euphemisms, expressions that help us say something bad in a nice way. The verb to get and its many uses. Expressions related to stressful situations at work. Plus, some new vocabulary, a word to watch. Are you ready? Let's get started. Our first lesson will help you express yourselves better. We are in Unit 10 already. This means your English has improved a lot and you're ready to use some new tools. And that's what I'm here for, to put them in your hands. You'll find them very useful, I promise. Sometimes when we're talking about people or things, we need to add some information about them. And the relative clauses can help us do that. Look at this sentence. He's my uncle. A simple sentence, right? But imagine that I have more than one uncle. How do I indicate which one of them I'm talking about? Well, I can use a relative clause. This is my uncle who lives in the United States. This is my uncle who speaks Japanese. This is my uncle who talks too much. We all have one of those, right? A relative who talks too much. So here you can see how the relative clause adds information about the noun uncle. Have you noticed which word I have used to refer to that noun? Yes? Well done. Who? You know this word from questions, right? Like, who is this? Have a look at this example. This is the man who lives next door. That who is not the same who we use to ask, who are you, right? Another example. I can't remember her name, but she is the girl who played Hannah Montana in a TV show. I can't remember her name, so I use a relative clause to give a clue about who that girl is. Easy and useful, isn't it? Next, that is the relative pronoun that we use the most in English. We can use it with people and with things. Look at this sentence. This is the house. The house was built on the main road. You could also say this like this. This is the house that was built on the main road. As you can see, that replaces the house. Simple as that. Another example. What's the name of the song that you want to hear? Here, that refers to a thing, the song. But we can also use it to talk about people. For example, the band that sings this song is very famous. In this case, the band is a group of people. If I say the artist that sings this song is very famous, I also use that. So, we can use that with both things and people. This is important to remember because it's the only relative pronoun that can do it. The next relative pronoun, which. Which has the same meaning as that, but we can only use it to talk about things. Remember, that goes with things and people, which goes only with things. Too complicated? Believe me, it's not. You just need a little bit of practice, that's all. Some examples. You have to press the button which says on. I went to a nice restaurant which my mother recommended. Next, whose. Try to pronounce it like I do, okay? Whose. Whose indicates possession and means of whom or of which. It tells us who something belongs to or with whom someone is associated in some way. For example, this is the girl whose boyfriend studies with me. With this sentence, I mean that the girl's boyfriend studies with me. More examples. That is the man whose wife is a famous actress. Those are the dogs whose owner was climbing a tree this morning. We also have where, which we use, of course, to talk about places. For example, yesterday I went to the bar where we first met. This is the house where I lived as a child. There is a bar where you can have any kind of beer you want. And last but not least, when. This relative pronoun indicates the moment when something happens. For example, do you remember when we went to Paris with your sister? Call me when you arrive home. I love it when you cook breakfast. Okay, enough relative pronouns and clauses. Wow, that was intense. Are you all right? I hope so. Can someone bring me some water, please? Whew. This has been intense for me too.
In English, the shorter, the better. That's why sometimes the relative pronoun can be omitted. When? When it's the object in a sentence. For example, we can say, the book that or which I was reading was a novel, or the book I was reading was a novel. But we never ever omit the relative pronoun when it's the subject. Look at this sentence. The boy who or that threw the stone lives next door to me. Here, the subject of the verb is the relative pronoun, and that's why we can't omit it. If we did it, we would have to change the whole sentence for it to make sense. Too complicated.